everybody, Rose Matter here. Welcome to part 1 of the final route of Fate Stay Night. Today I'm going to be playing Heaven's Feel, the Sakura route, and I don't know too much about it. It'll be interesting that Sakura is going to get more screen time, and she's going to get something focused on her because she's been such like a background character. So I'm interested to see like what her involvement in the Holy Grail War and the bigger part of the story, like how that's going to change things up. I'm excited, but I'm a little bummed out that we're going to be, you know, finishing it up. I don't know how long the route is going to be, and I heard it's like kind of a little bit of a controversial route. You guys can tell me in the comments, without spoiling things, what your opinions are on Heaven's Feel. How you like it in comparison to the other routes, what your favorite one is, all that good stuff. I'm excited to give this a go and see what happens. I would say my ranking is probably, oh boy, the other two routes were very, very good. I don't know which one I like more, Fate or Unlimited Blade Works. Unlimited Blade Works is just so fresh in my head, but I do love the Saber route too. It was very, very good. I don't know. I think maybe Unlimited Blade works because of the fact that there's two endings. I really like him and Rin together. And just the fact that I just played it, so it's very fresh. I think maybe that one edges just a little bit. So we'll see how Heaven's Feel, how that is going to, you know, how I'm going to rank that one. But we still got a long ways to go before I finish this. So anyway, guys, let's jump into it. I may be skipping ahead, depending on if the opening is the same. So if that does happen, I will let you guys know. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's start Heaven's Feel. I hear a sound. I hear a heavy, old rusty sound as the door opens. Light enters the dark shed. My mind waking up.
Senpai, 起きてますか?
Feels the cold air in the approaching footsteps.
Ohayou, Sakura. Hi. Ohayou gozaimasu, senpai.
Sakura smiles and nods as if accustomed to the situation.
Senpai, 朝ですよ。まだ時間はありますけど、ここで眠っていたら藤村先生に怒られます。そうだな。よく起こしに来てくれた。いつもすまない。そんなことありません。先輩、いつも朝は早いですから。こんな風に起こしに来れるなんてたまにしかありません。
Sakura seems more upbeat than usual today, as if she's happy about something.
そうかな。結構桜には起こされてるぞ、俺。けど、藤姉には叩き起こされるから。Sakuraの方が助かる。これに懲りずに次は頑張る。
I answer her with a sleepy head. I don't know what I'm saying with my mind not fully awake.
はい、わかりました。でも、頑張ってもらわない方が嬉しいです、私。
Sakura's giggling. I guess my head was still dozing, and I said something weird.
ちょっと待ってくれ。すぐ起きるから。
The cold outdoor air helps in situations like this. The chill works well to beat the sleepiness out of my head. In front of me is Matou Sakura, my junior at school. This place is a shed behind my house, and the time is 6 o'clock.
先輩？目が覚めた。ごめんな、桜。またやっちまった。朝の支度手伝わないといけないのに。そんなのいいんです。先輩。夕べも遅かったんでしょ？なら朝はゆっくりしてください。朝食の支度は私がしておきますから。
Sakura says so in a happy tone. It's unusual. Sakura really seems to be in a good mood this morning.
バカ、そういうわけにいくか。今起きるから一緒にキッチンに行こう。よし、準備完了。それじゃあ行こう、Sakura。いえ、その先輩？なんだよ。他に何かあるのか？いえ、そういうことではないんですけど、その先輩、家に戻る前に
着替えた方がいいと思います。
That said, I looked down at myself. I fell asleep while I was working, so I'm still wearing my overalls. Being my work clothes, they're pretty dirty. I can't imagine what Fujine would say to me if I went into the house like this.
まだ目が覚めてないみたいだ。なんか普段に増して抜けてるな、俺。
そうかもしれませんね。ですから朝食の支度は私に任せて、先輩はもう少しゆっくりしていてください。
そうだな。それじゃあ着替えてから行くから、さくらは先に戻っていてくれ。
はい、お待ちしてますね、先輩。
Sakura leaves. Well, I have to change into my school uniform and clear up this mess. The shed is built on the edge of our yard, and just as it seems, it's a warehouse we put all our junk in. But for me, it's a place of treasures, as I've enjoyed messing with things since I was a kid. Father didn't allow me to go into the shed, but I always sneaked in here. As a result, it became my base. For me, Emiya Shirou, I guess you could call this place my real room. The big Emiya household doesn't suit me, and I can only relax in this space full of junk.
そもそももったいないじゃないか。ガラクタって言ってもまだ使えるし。
Most of the things in here are appliances that can't be used anymore. Did I bring all the junk in here because I liked the place, or did I come to like it here because of all the junk? Anyway, since I was always sneaking in here, it became my hobby to fix the broken things. It's not like I get attached to things. I think it just annoys me not to use things that can still be used. And just like that, I was fixing up the stove all last night.
完成は明日か。途中で寝るなんて集中力が足りない証拠だ。
I shake off the feeling of disappointment to myself. I gather up the parts of the stove and put them on the shelf full of things waiting to be fixed. There are no spaces on the shelf full of things awaiting repair. An old VCR awaits it after the stove. I guess I'll ignore the fact Fujine broke both of them. I change into my uniform. This place is like my room, and it holds changes of clothes along with other things I need. It also has lots of blueprints and junk, the result of failures from when I do my training. There's also some kind of old design inscribed on the floor, like an altar or something.
さて、今日も一日頑張って精進しよう。
It should be interesting, because the beginning at least is the same. I don't know when it's gonna veer off into like a completely different story, but knowing that this is the beginning of the Unlimited Blade Works, it's pretty much the same. If there's gonna be little things that I'm gonna catch that I didn't notice before because I didn't know the full story about, you know, Shirou and who he actually is. Clapping my hands in prayer to the shed, I head for the house. I emerge from the shed. The Emiya house is a Japanese-style house on the outskirts of town. My father wasn't much of a respected person in town, but he somehow still had this huge house. That on its own is a mystery, but it also seems he didn't have any relatives in Japan. That's why the house became mine and no one else's when my father died. Though to be honest, I don't have that kind of management ability. Old man Fujimura is in charge of complicated things like inheritance and property taxes. Old man Fujimura is the big landlord in this neighborhood. According to father, the old man is like a Yakuza boss. Of course, this is just prejudice. He's not like a Yakuza boss, he is a Yakuza boss. Well, that's a problem in itself, but I prefer to ignore it. It's certainly true he's energetic and scary, but he's actually not that bad a person. It really helps me as he pays a lot when I tune up the motorcycles he likes to ride. Anyway, that's why I'm the only one living in this big house. It's been 5 years since father died. The days have passed quickly. I sigh, thinking about how much I've grown in those 5 years. I trained every day to be like Yuritsugu, but it's not that easy in reality. It's natural because I had no talent to begin with, but what can be said about having no improvement at all in 5 years? To sum up the present in one sentence, my goal is so far away that I'm not even at the starting line yet. No, I guess it won't do any good to rush. For now, I have to do what I can. Well then. Right now, I should. Okay. I think I might have done this in the original one too, guys. I apologize. But I'm really hoping that there isn't going to be like too much of the sameness from the last route. Knowing this, like, they do a good job at making each route very different, but I have done this one already. Okay, maybe I will skip this scene. There might be a lot of scene skipping for the beginning. Ah, there is too. Okay. Damn. Oh, I might be halfway through the dang route in the first episode. I apologize for those of you guys who have not watched the Unlimited Blade Works. I would highly recommend watching that before you start watching Heaven's Feel, because I'm going to be skipping a lot of stuff. I did the opening, which was similar, or was the same as Unlimited Blade Works, but that's because I at least wanted to like introduce Sakura and kind of get back into the swing of it, but I don't want to go through the same stuff and bore you guys. All right, here we go. So we will go to work, which I also have done before. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll take Sakura home. There we go. There's a new part. I haven't thanked Sakura for dinner yet, so I'll go and talk to her.
そうだな。夜も遅いし、家まで送って行ってやらないと。
Sakura's in the living room getting ready to go home, having finished the cleaning.
あれ先輩、お風呂に入ってたんじゃないんですか？
いや、風呂は後回し。さくらを送ってから入る。
送るって私をですか？
ああ、最近物騒だから家まで送る。さくらんち結構遠いだろ。わざわざ来てもらってるんだから、それぐらいはさせてくれ。
Sakura falls into an awkward silence. Did I say something bad? Is it, Sakura, if I remember correctly, does Shinji know that Sakura's coming over here to help out? Is that why? It's like she doesn't want me to walk her home because she doesn't want Shinji to find out, like, we've been hanging out?
ごめんなさい。気持ちは嬉しいんですけど、
I think
先輩
that's
は
it.
休んでいてください。家までだったら慣れてますし、一人でも大丈夫ですから。
いや、それはそうだろうけど、今日は特別だ。しばらくは家まで送っていくよ。
でも
Yeah.
兄さんに見つかると、先輩にまで迷惑がかかります。
Now maybe Sakura like will learn more about her in this route. I assume we will. She's my least favorite of the three girls, probably because we just don't know much about her, but I've never really been the biggest fan of like that kind of very shy, very demure, soft-spoken, a little bit too well-behaved. I find them a little boring. There's probably some dimension to Sakura we're gonna learn, but like after Rin, who's just such a firecracker, and I love her, she's so assertive and she is so like self-assured of herself. This is just quite the difference. And also like Saber has kind of like a quiet, dignified confidence as well. Like she is also maybe a little bit on the quiet side and stuff too, but she's also a very self-assured person. Sakura, not so much. Maybe she'll learn to be more self-assured, stand up to her brother and become more confident herself, but it's just I find it a little bit annoying sometimes. That's right. Sakura's brother Shinji doesn't approve of Sakura coming to my place. He can't object too strongly because she says she's going to Fujini's house, but it could be a problem if I take her home. It's a problem, but so what? I don't care what Shinji says. It's a much bigger problem if Sakura has to walk home alone at dangerous times like these.
俺にかかる迷惑なんていい。ともかく最近は物騒なんだから送ってく。
Sakura or it's a problem when they all have names that start with S. Shirou, like, it might not be so much that you're gonna get in trouble, Sakura might get in trouble, and Shinji, unfortunately, it's been implied that he can be a little bit violent with Sakura or like aggressive with her. So already Shirou's just stamping all over her boundaries. I know he's doing it because like he wants to make sure she's okay, but like, dude, if she says no, just accept that.
でもやっぱり先輩に悪いですから、
悪くない。日頃世話になってるんだから送るぐらいさせてくれ。それとも一人で帰りたいのか、さくらは。
いえ、そういうことではなくて。
It's just the whole Sakura just like dancing around stuff. She's never like comfortable. She's never confident when she speaks. Whereas like Rin is like She's like, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. I appreciate that straightforwardness. I find this kind of like this unsureness about her just to be a little frustrating.
ならいいだろう。これでも腕には自信があるんだ。大抵の暴漢は返り討ちにできるから、こんな時ぐらいは使ってやってくれ。なんか出てきてもちゃんと桜を
I
守
think
る
in
から。
terms of the romance, this is probably going to be my least favorite one. Also, the fact that Sakura is a junior, she is younger. I know that the beginning say that there were like, you know, at the beginning they say that everybody is like of age basically, but still, like, I don't know. I nudged Sakura towards the hallway with a glance.
先輩、本当にいいんですか？また兄さんと喧嘩しちゃうかもしれませんよ。
構わないよ。男同士で喧嘩しない方が変だし、シンジとはそれぐらい素直に言い合った方がいいんだ。あいつ、ああ見えて隠し事とか嫌いだから、文句があるならすっぱりと言い合った方がすっきりする。
Sakura looks surprised for some reason.
どうした？なんか変なこと言ったか？俺。
いえ、言ってませんよ。先輩が兄さんと仲良くしてくれるのが嬉しいだけです。
いや、仲良くってのは難しいぞ。すっきりするのは俺だけで、シンジは逆かもしれないし。
そうですね。けど兄さん、何度喧嘩しても先輩に話しかけるでしょ。兄さん、きっと先輩が苦手なんです。けど、他の人よりずっと好きだから。
Wait, he's not honest, so he likes people he doesn't like?
Yeah, それは
what?
返答に困る意見だな。
はい。先輩が羨ましかったから、少しだけ困らせてみました。
Sakura smiles. Seeing that smile, I hold my breath without realizing it. Would you call that a big smile? I think it's the first time I've seen her smile like that.
とにかく送っていくからな。シンジに見つかったら見つかったでいい。妹を送り届けたんだから、あいつだって文句は言わないだろう。
そうですね。隠すよりはそうした方がいいかもしれません。それじゃあお言葉に甘えていいですか、先輩。
はいよ。たまには先輩らしいとこを見せてやれ。
I smack my chest. Sakura smiles warmly at my gesture of trust me. We go down the hill and reach the intersection. There's no one around, and the familiar residential district feels desolate. It's not even 10 o'clock yet, but the town is asleep. The silence is strange. Even though there have been nasty incidents, should night really steal this much life?
先輩、私の家、こっちですけど。
悪い。ちょっとぼーっとしてた。さくらの家はあっち側の一番上だもんな。
いえ、一番上にあるのは遠坂先輩のお家ですよ。マトウの家も高いところにありますけど、一番上じゃないんです。
It'll be interesting after so much time with Rin in the last one, like how much is she going to be in this one? Because she's still going to have to teach me magic and all that stuff, but it's not going to be the same.
あれ、そうだったか？遠坂ってあの遠坂？
It's also strange whenever you start a new route because it's like they got very close to each other in the last one, and now in this, it's like reset. It's like he barely knows her.
はい、2年生の遠坂凛さんです。先輩、苦手なんですか？
She must have read my reaction, as her comment is accurate. Ugh, was I making that kind of a face?
いや、苦手ってわけじゃない。話したこともないし、よく知らない相手だ。ただ、有名な優等生だろ？あいつ。どこにいても目立つから人並みに知ってるだけ。そういうさくらは？同じ洋館だし、もしかして近所付き合いとかあるのか？
ないですよ。確かに近所ではありますけど、遠坂先輩のお家は坂の上ですから。けど、遠坂先輩のお家が洋館だって知ってるんですね。
That's a weird face she's making. Sakura asks quietly.
ああ、 ちょっと小耳に挟んだんだ。遠坂のところは幽霊屋敷だとかなんとか。
It's like Sakura upset.
幽霊
Like,
屋敷っ
have
て言
you
ったら
been by
洋
her
館と
house?
相場が決まってるだろ。
Is there something going on between you two? Are you stalking her?
そうですね。遠坂先輩は一人が好きみたいですから。私も子供の頃、坂の上には怖い魔法使いが住んでるって言われてました。
へえ、怖い魔法使いか。俺もそんな風な噂は聞いたな。まあそれ言ったらあっちの家はみんな魔法使いが住んでいそうだけど。ね、
信じました。だって子供だったんです。だから坂の上には行っちゃいけないっていつも思ってました。
Sakura answers my joking question seriously. We go up the hill. It's a residential district rather opposite to mine, but the habits are the same. There are fewer and fewer buildings and more trees as you ascend the hill. It's only natural as most of the town's facilities are at the bottom of the hill. In all that, one of the few buildings near the top of the hill is Sakura's house. Sakura stops suddenly.
なんだ、忘れ物か？
いえ、忘れ物じゃないんですけど。先輩、うちの近くに誰かいませんか？
I wonder if it's Gilgamesh. She looks around uneasily. I look around too, but there's no one here except us.
別に誰もいないけど、なんかあったのか？
いえ、いないならいいんです。なんか最近家の近くで見慣れない人をよく見かけるから、今日もいるのかなって。
Because I think he popped up in Fate. I believe they said like a blonde foreigner was talking to Sakura. And then in the last one, we saw him outside of their house. So I'm guessing it's probably him.
なんだそれ。なんか危なくないか、そいつ。どんなやつなんだよ。
Yep.
金髪のかっこいい人でした。モデルさんみたいだから先輩も見たらびっくりすると思います。
Sakura says so with a blush, as if recalling him. Sakura, I don't know if that's something I should be worried about.
なんだ、不審なやつってわけじゃないんだ。
わかりません。ただ最近は引っ越してきた人なんていないからおかしいなって。
まあとにかく怪しいって言えば怪しいよな。よし、もしまた家のあたりをうろついてるようだったら俺かシンジに言ってくれ。捕まえて何してるのか白状させるから。
はい、頼りにしてます。けど手荒なことはしないでくださいね。私先輩に喧嘩されると困ります。
Sakura says so, while smiling straight at me.
大丈夫だよ。ちゃんと話し合いから始めるから。さくらが心配することない。
I look away from Sakura's smile as I answer. Geez, Sakura's gestures captivate me often these days. It would have been nothing a while ago, so I feel like I'm acting weird. Maybe it's because Sakura's grown, or maybe just because I finally noticed it. Well, I do think Sakura's become really beautiful. That on its own is great, but I don't think it's cool for a senpai to have to be careful where he's looking.
それじゃあおやすみなさい先輩。送ってもらえて嬉しかったです。
バカ、礼なんて言うな。晩飯作ってもらってるんだからお礼を言うのはこっちの方だ。
Sakura just smiles with satisfaction.
たく、こんなんでいいんなら明日から日課にするからな。
はい、先輩の気が向いた時たまにでいいですから送ってください。兄さんに怒られるけど私はやっぱり先輩と一緒がいいです。先輩、また明日ですね。今日はありがとうございました。
Sakura calls back enthusiastically and disappears into her house.
さて、
I should head home too. I left Fujine at the house, and to be honest, that's what worries me.
あれ？
Did I just hear something? I can hear it, the sound of a creaking swing. It takes me a while to realize it's the sound of a bug.
どんな虫かな。何せよ、季節外れもいいところだ。
That's probably, is it like assassin or somebody sending out a whatchamacallit, like a familiar, like Rin did. I imagine a longhorn beetle in the dark under the cold winter sky. Then I notice.
あれ、明かりが3つある。
And the one that just lit up is Sakura's room. The light on the first floor is Shinji's room, so what is the light from the third room?
シンジんとこはさくらとシンジしかいないはずだけど。
Oh, and there's like it looks like a shadow in one of the windows I see. Maybe it's a guest, or Shinji's in that room. Anyway, I've been here many times, but this is the first time I've seen the light on in that room. Well, it's a big house. It's not strange for a light to be on somewhere in such a house. It's not strange, but...
なんだろう。なんか胸がざわつくな。
I feel something, like a presence or a bad feeling. In the cold air, the unseasonal sound echoes. There's such a thing as a hunch. The bug hidden in the bushes feels very ominous. I didn't even make that connection that it's wintertime, there wouldn't be bugs usually, right? My awakening is dark. Perhaps I just don't dream much, but unless something really special happens, I always seem to have the same dream. What I imagine are swords. I don't know why it is, but this is the only thing that comes into my mind. There's no meaning or reason to it. It may just be one of the aspects making up Emiya Shirou. There are no dreams to dream. The only things I recall from sleep are things I was taught a long time ago. For example, about magi. Even if I'm an amateur, if I'm a magus, it's only natural for me to understand the kind of world I live in. Frankly speaking, a magus is an exception who deviates from modern society, but even exceptions must band together to survive. Father told me that a group of magi is called the Magic Association. He also said I shouldn't associate with them. The Magic Association hides magic and organizes magi. They basically keep watch to see magi do not affect society with magic. But the strange part is they don't prohibit misuse of magic. According to Kiritsugu, the Magic Association is only interested in the concealment of magic. Even if a magus carries out his research at the expense of the lives of many ordinary people, the Magic Association will not punish him. Their priority is that magic should not become public, so they don't ban magic. So they're crazy people who think you can do anything as long as you don't get caught. Anyway, surveillance of the Magic Association is thorough. Most magical research would cost the lives of ordinary people, and as a result, the existence of magic would become public. So the association does not allow research that would harm society. So, magi stay at home and research quietly while the normal world carries on unmolested. Hence, magi only try to hide themselves to escape the association. So perhaps I just don't know it, and a magus lives in this town. I hear Fuyuki City is a spiritually excellent area. Such an area always has a distinguished magus with a history. They're called Second Owner, an elite, and the association entrusts the area to them. Magi who would live in the area must visit them and obtain their permission to construct a workshop. Looking at it like that, we're thieves living here without the permission of the landlord. Father was an outlaw who cut his ties with the association and moved here without the consent of the administrator of Fuyuki. The owner doesn't know that Emiya Kiritsugu was a magus, and Kiritsugu doesn't know who the owner is, or was. With reasoning like that, I think our position is ambiguous. Father, the real magus, has passed away, and I, his son and pupil, don't know the Magic Association and have not the skill to become a magus. From the association's point of view, they would want to catch an amateur like me doing things, but I've seen no movement yet. No, I've heard that Japan is relatively hidden from the eyes of the association, so I think I've just not been found out. But that doesn't mean I can let my guard down. People say the eyes of the association are everywhere. On top of that, if you commit a crime with magic, the heretic hunters of the church will come after you. That just means that whatever you use magic for, lack of care will create enemies. I, Emiya Shirou, just have to study independently, taking that into account. I wake up to see the sun shining in through the window. The sun may have just risen, as it's still a bit dark outside.
寒さすがに朝は辛いな。
I get up, trying not to be defeated by the morning chill, and quickly fold up my futon. It's 5:30. One of my strengths is waking up at this time, no matter how late I get to sleep. I do sometimes make mistakes and wake up late like yesterday, but I usually wake up early.
それじゃ朝飯朝飯。
Since I let Sakura do all the work yesterday, I have to return the favor this morning. I should finish preparing before Sakura arrives. I cook rice and make miso soup. It was radish and carrot yesterday, so I make onion and potato miso soup today. I also make the usual broth, egg, and broth boil, and I'm done. I cut and salt the sari and stop just before cooking it.
よし、こんなんでいいか。
It's almost 6 o'clock. I finished earlier than expected, so I do have some extra time. Okay, let's make one more side dish since Sakura's coming.
そうだな。時間もあるし、箸休めになんか作っとこう。
I open the refrigerator. All that's left are some cucumber and potatoes.
きゅうりをスティック状に切って塩漬けにしてもいいし、じゃがいもを千切りにして酢の物にしてもいいんだけど。
But those are both things I could do in a couple of minutes, and they're better fresh. It'll be half an hour until Fujini and Sakura arrive, so I should make a dish right before they get here. In that case, this is free time I can't make much use of. Is there anything I can do in 30 minutes?
夕飯用に鶏のささみがあったから、
I could cook some bite-sized meat rolls with vegetables or something like that. Shirou makes me feel so unaccomplished in the mornings. The fact he can wake up so early and make a full breakfast. Meanwhile, like, I wake up, you know, maybe 7:30. Sometimes I sleep until 8 if the dog lets me, and then I basically just grab a granola bar or a protein shake, and like, that's my breakfast. No cooking involved. I do not have the energy in the morning. I cut the meat and tenderize it. At a glance, the meat tenderizer is really evil. It's like a hammer, but it's flat on 4 sides and has a lot of spikes coming out of it. If it were bigger, it'd make a great instrument of torture. I flatten the meat with a scary object, put some carrots and kidney beans on it, roll it up, cook it in the pan, and steam it with wine.
ちょっと待て。何してんだ俺。
At that point, I regained my sanity. I was trying to make a side dish, as the sari was already the main dish. So what am I doing making another main dish?
なんてこった。暇つぶしで余計な料理をするなんて気が抜けてる。
Were you just doing it to pass the time, or were you doing it to impress Sakura?
暇つぶして作ってたんですか、先輩。
でも誤解のないように説明すると、本当は惣菜を追加しようとしたんだ。それが気がついたら包丁を持ってた。いや、習慣っていうのは怖い。もちろんただの言い訳だけど。
でもいいと思いますよ。朝ごはんにしては豪勢ですけど、先輩の料理なら余らないと思います。
そうかな。いや、そういう問題じゃないだろう、これは。一つの空に二つの太陽はいらないんだ。どっちかにはご退場を願わなくちゃいけない。
先輩、せっかく作ったのに食べないんですか？
食べる。予定にはなかったけど、今日の昼は弁当にする。そうすれば余った方も無駄にはならないだろ。
うわ、先輩、今からお弁当作るんですか？
ギリギリかな。まあ、俺一人分ぐらいなら飯もなんとか。
And then, I finally realized someone is behind me.
おはようございます。
He had that whole conversation and didn't
今日
even
もお
like
邪魔しますね。
make that connection that he's talking to someone. Sakura greets me with a smile. It's not unusual for Sakura to come into the kitchen at this time. She always rings the bell as she comes in, but sometimes I don't notice, like this morning.
おはよう、さくら。朝飯の支度はできてるから、今で休んでていいぞ。お茶の用意してあるから。
I answer her, staring at the frying pan. On the table is a pot of hot water, a teapot, and some snacks.
はい。今朝も完璧ですね、先輩。
Sakura's voice is lively, as if she's happy about something. And Sakura comes into the kitchen instead of going to the table.
先輩、お弁当作るんですよね。
まあ、そういう流れになった。 ちょうど弁当向きだし、もう少しおかずを用意しようかなって。
それなら私もいいですか？ちゃんと自分で作りますから。
いや待った、おかず俺のと同じのでいいなら分けられるけど。
はい、さっきから見ていて先輩の焼き物が食べたいなって思ってたんです。
了解。じゃあさくらはご飯炊いてくれ。2人分の弁当となると飯が足りなくなる。そっちに早炊きができる炊飯ジャーあるだろ？
はい、任されました。それじゃあお手伝いさせていただきますね。
I hear the sound of her footsteps and of her tying her apron.
先輩、ご飯は2合でいいですよね。
十分なんじゃないかな。
With quick movements, Sakura comes to help in the kitchen.
あ、はよー。今朝もいい匂いさせてて結構。
And Fujini is just me coming and being like, hey, food's all ready, let's eat. A little past 6:30, 30 minutes after Sakura, Fujini arrives as usual.
おはようございます先生。朝ごはんもうちょっと待ってくださいね。
待つ。ってあれ？さくらちゃん、シロウと一緒に朝ごはん作ってるの？
いえ、朝食の支度は先輩が一人でやっつけちゃってました。今は先輩とお弁当を作ってるんです。
Sakura's voice is really lively. We're not doing anything particularly fun, so I don't know what she's so happy about.
そっか。そりゃ朝からご機嫌にもなるか。お料理とシロウ、楽しいことだらけだもんね。よし、時間は余裕ないけどゆっくりしてていいわよ。
Laughing, Fujini sits at the table and pours some tea.
たく、朝から寝ぼけやがって。学校前に台所に立つことのどこが楽しいってんだ。
I put the pan back onto the rack. The food's made, so all that's left is to pack the lunch
悪い
boxes.
な、さくら。部活前だっていうのに無駄な体力使わせて。昨日世話になった分、今朝はゆっくりしてもらおうと思ってたんだが。
いえ、そんなことありませんよ。藤村先生の言う通り、台所に立つのは楽しいです。
I wish I could find cooking fun. It's a chore. Baking is a little bit more fun than cooking, but the eating it is the best part. She smiles. Well, I know she likes cooking, but still, it must be hard for her getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to make lunch. Besides, Sakura comes and makes dinner often. So if I'm getting her to cook in the mornings too, she might have no free time at all.
手伝ってくれるのは助かるけど、もう少し楽にしろよ、さくら。朝はもちっと眠ったり、放課後だって遊びに行くもんだろ。何も好き好んでうちの手伝いをしなくていいんだ。
It's pretty like I'm assuming that the reason she comes over is not just because she likes Shirou, but probably doesn't have a good relationship with Shinji and she just wants an excuse to get out of the house.
はい、ですから楽にしています。今日も先輩に朝ごはんを作ってもらいました。お弁当のおかずだって先輩に分けてもらいましたし。
She smiles. Sigh. It's been a year and a half since Sakura started to help out. Now she keeps coming back like this no matter what I say.
それとこれは別だろう。さくらだって自分の生活があるんだから、俺や藤姉の世話にかまけてたら大変だぞ。俺を甘やかしてると、そのうち自分の好きなことができなくなるんだからな。
それも大丈夫です。私、趣味はお料理と弓だけですから。ちなみに将来の目標は先輩の味を超えることで、もうすぐ射程距離だったりします。
Sakura puffs her chest out boastfully. Gah. I want to argue back, but it is true that she's about to beat me.
ですから気にしないでください。私、ここでお料理するのが嬉しいし、うまくなるのが楽しいんです。この楽しさを教えてくれた恩返しと、自分の実益を兼ねてお手伝いをしているのです。
それはつまり、日々俺の技術を盗んでいるということなのか？
はい。先輩のお手伝いをするだけで好きなことがめきめき上達しちゃいます。 ですから覚悟しててくださいね。
Alright, so already
今に先輩に参ったって言ってもらうんですから。
we're getting a little bit more of a playful banter between them. Like, the two other roots, whenever they talked, she was just so, like, I don't know, just shy and stuff. But this, it's like you can see a little bit more character popping out. So I think we're definitely going to get some, like, Sakura character development, which is needed. Whoa, I can't believe she said it so bluntly.
まったくこんなことなら料理なんて教えなければよかった。うちに来るまでサラダ油の存在さえ知らなかったくせに今じゃ虎視眈々と死の首を狙ってやがる。飯なんて普通に作れればいいじゃんか。
そんなの目の敵にします。先輩の方が美味しいなんてダメなんですから。
I'm not sure what's so bad about that, but we should start setting the table for breakfast. I check the sari. Placing my chopstick on the well-grilled stomach, I check how cooked it is.
上出来かな。ほい、さくら、パス。先に食卓に持って行ってくれ。
はい、お疲れ様です先輩。
I hand the plate of sari to Sakura. Then, as if remembering something important, Sakura stops dead.
さくら、どうした？忘れ物か？
Sakura may seem shrewd, but she actually forgets things a lot. It's not unusual for her to remember something and stop like this. But it seems like that's not the case this morning.
さくら。
Oh. Uh-oh, what? There's no answer. She just blankly stares at my hand like she's still in a daze. Then...
先輩、その手の技、何ですか？
She asks me a strange question.
は？
I look down at the hand she's talking
あ
about.
れ、本当だ。手の甲にあざができてる。おかしいな。ぶつけた覚えはないんだけど。
For some reason, there's a big bruise on the back of my left hand. It's quite an impressive welt, and it looks like it came from some sort of a cut. Even on my own hand, it looks bad. Perhaps Sakura's not feeling well, and she's very
悪
quiet.
い、あとは任せた。湿布かなんか貼ってくる。
I'm assuming Sakura, like... Shinji talked about how, like, Sakura doesn't know about all that stuff that he does, you know, like with the magic and everything and the Holy Grail War, but maybe she does know about it. The bruise... Now, the bruise on the hand, it could be the beginnings of a command spell, but Saber hasn't shown up yet. Or maybe it's something that, like, happened with that bug? The bug that he noticed? Or maybe there's, like, a cut? Whoever left a little cut on him? I'm guessing the bruise is probably, like, the command spell, right? Because that's where it shows up. And she's quiet, maybe because she knows about the command spell because she's seen it. I let Sakura take care of the kitchen and head for the dojo. I don't know if I did this during my sleep, but I'll have to treat it. But for some reason I'm worried about Sakura, who looked awkward and downcast.
それじゃあ、先に行ってますね。
さくら、本当にいいのか？体調が悪いなら部活ぐらい休んでいいんだぞ。
いえ、大丈夫です。ちょっと頭痛がするだけですから、心配には及びません。体調が悪そうに見えるのは、先輩の気のせいですよ。私、すごく元気です。
She says so with a smile, but anyone can tell at a glance that she's just bluffing.
すごく元気か。朝飯、一口も食べられなかったのにか？
She looks away awkwardly. Without looking up, she replies.
失礼します。先輩の方こそ、休んでください。
She leaves. Like, she knows, right? She knows what that bruise is, probably. The table is cleared, but on the plate in the kitchen, Sakura's meal remains untouched.
まったく、いきなりどうしたんだよ、さくらのやつ。
She had been in such a good mood, but after seeing my bruise, Sakura suddenly became quiet and started to make lots of mistakes. She overfilled the tea, drenched the omelets with soy sauce, and sat down at the table with her apron on. And on top of that, she ate nothing and went to school looking pale.
風邪でもひいたのかな、さくら。
I mutter to myself while cleaning up. It's the first time I've seen Sakura like this. I got to know her during the summer 4 years ago. She started coming here to help a year and a half ago. In that time, I've never seen her look this ill. Fujine will be at the archery range, so I don't think there'd be a problem there, but I should go and check on her after school or sometime. Classes end and it's time to go home. I can't go anywhere as I have work today. I should leave school and go straight to the neighboring town, but... Okay, I know it's probably because I skipped stuff, but I'm like, I haven't even interacted with Tosaka once, in, at least from what I've seen. I know I have at some point. I'm just, maybe I shouldn't have skipped that stuff, because I'm like, why would I be worried about Tosaka? But we're not doing that route anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright, so of course we're going to pick I'm worried about Sakura. I'm worried about Sakura. I know it won't do any good to worry about her, but I should at least see if she's okay. I walk through the 4th floor where the first-year students are located. There's no one in the hallway and not many left in the classrooms either. It seems that they've already gone home or to their clubs.
失敗したな。これじゃさくらも部活に行ってる。
Well, I've come this far. I'll go to her classroom, and when I've checked that she's not there, I can head to work.
どれ?
I look into classroom 1B. The red-tinted classroom is quiet, and there's no sign of life. There's no one in the classroom. All the students have gone to their respective destinations. In that red classroom, a lone shadow remains.
Sakura.
I enter the red world and call out to her.
Senpai?
The face covered by her long hair looks even more lifeless than this morning.
どうしたんですか？うちのクラスに何か用事でも。
あ、いや、さくらのクラスに用事はない。単にさくらの様子が気になっただけだ。朝から体調悪そうだったから。
Sakura makes a gloomy face. She's clearly not doing well.
さくら、気分が悪いなら帰らないか。交差点までなら遅れるから一緒に帰ろう。
いえ、いいです。私、どこも悪くありません。いつも通り部活に出て、終わったら先輩のところで夕飯をごちそうになるんです。悪くなんてないんです。だから、気にしないでください。
She picks up her bag and starts to walk like she's running away.
バカ、そんな顔で何言ってんだ。いいから部活は休め。だいたいな、そんなんで弓を引いても帰ってくるもんなんかないだろう。
I grab Sakura's hand as she tries to pass me. A crash. Sakura almost falls over just from being grabbed. I quickly pull her hand back. The body I'm dragging is surprisingly light.
びっくりした。さくら、本当に大丈夫か？足全然踏ん張り効いてないじゃないか。
Sakura looks away apologetically. Geez, what's wrong with her today?
とにかく部活は休みだ。俺もバイト休むから今日はおとなしく家に帰ろう。
Sakura is silent and doesn't answer. She doesn't shake my hand off, but it also seems that she won't go home obediently.
どうしたんだよ、さくら。そんなんじゃ部活に出ても意味ないって分かってるだろ？
Like, she really doesn't want to be home. It probably also has to do with whatever was going on in the house last night. And maybe I'm misremembering, but in Fate Zero, wasn't she the one that, like, was being, like, covered in bugs, and then there was that guy who was trying to save her, and he's the one that, like, had the bug ability, and then he just, like, got really old. I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that was the Matou family that's they were talking about. Like, there was the daughter. I'm pretty sure that was Sakura, so maybe it's a case of, like, maybe she's having her power, or like her energy zapped by Shinji to make him stronger. Like, there's something going on and she just doesn't want to go home. I could be misremembering, but
それは先輩の言う通りです。けど兄さんが呼んでるから。
okay, wait, so her brother wants her to go to the club, so maybe he doesn't want her at home? So maybe everything I just said was completely off base. Like maybe he's already accepted the whole thing with the Holy Grail War, and he doesn't want her at home because he has to keep it a secret from her? Sakura mutters. If she says so with a face like that, I can't respond. It seems the circumstances at Sakura's house are complicated and they're not something I can meddle with. I was saying about the whole thing with like maybe he's taking her strength, maybe he is doing something to her to make himself stronger, but in the last one, last playthrough, he said that like she doesn't know anything about it, and also she only seemed to be like this when she saw the bruise on my hand. So maybe she knows what that bruise means and she's upset about it. No matter how much I think she's a part of my family, her real family is the Matos. Whatever I say, they're just the words of an outsider.
部活には顔を出すだけか、さくら。
はい。私だって今は弓を引けないって分かってます。
そうか。要するに、シンジの顔を立てるだけってことだな。
I pull out a chair and sit on it. I also pull another chair out from the desk next to it.
先輩？
いいから座れ。部活に行くのはもう止めない。その代わり、もうちょっと休んでいけ。シンジには俺から誘われて断るのに時間がかかったって言えばいい。
そんなこと言えません。そんなこと言ったら兄さんまた先輩に
シンジがちょっかい出してくるのはいつものことだよ。いいじゃんか。毎日会話のネタがあってあいつも楽だろ。それにこの話は嘘でもなんでもない真っ白な真実なんだから。後ろ。
I urge Sakura to sit down. Sakura sits down quietly.
よしよし。じゃあちょっと待っててくれ。生徒会室からお茶くすねてくるからな。俺が戻ってくるまで席を立つのは禁止だぞ。
先輩、お茶をくすねてくるってそんなことしたら怒られるんじゃ。
先生に見つかったらな。何？この手のことには慣れてる。廊下でばったり会わない限り問題ないから。さくらは椅子でふんぞり返っててくれ。
できません。先輩が危ないことしてる時に休んでるなんてもってのほかです。先輩、私お茶なんていいですから。
だから危なくないって。いいから座ってろよ。教室で茶を飲むってのも一度ぐらいはいいもんだ。
I jump out into the hallway. The student council room isn't far away. I'll get the tea set quickly and surprise Sakura. Time passes. While we do something silly like drinking tea together in a classroom, we just stare outside. Outside the window is a glowing sunset that hurts my eyes. Sakura stares blankly at the sunset. I have nothing to talk about, so I follow her example and keep my mouth shut. Time passes slowly since we're not talking. Sakura isn't the talkative type, and she often just stares at the scenery. I guess she's more relaxed by herself. Come to think of it, Sakura wants to be alone a lot. It's not like she's excluding herself from the crowd, but she wants to isolate herself within the crowd. She looks outside the crowd more than in it. That must be why she stayed here in the classroom. Sakura doesn't actively try to spend time with others. Fujine and I are special. Even I wouldn't have known her if I hadn't met Shinji. I sneak a glance at Sakura. When Shinji introduced me to her 4 years ago, she was just a small girl. Now she's my junior who comes to help around the house, and her childish image is disappearing. Yeah, if that is what I remember, if Sakura and the events of Fate Zero obviously predate what's happening here, she's been through a lot. She has suffered a lot. Like, she's basically was tortured. And I can't remember the circumstances of why. I just remember there was like the old guy who wanted to get power from her or something. I can't quite remember, but that's when that other guy stepped in. I can't remember his name. He stepped in and basically was like, I'll take her place if you stop torturing her basically with all those bugs. So yeah, she's had a little bit of a tough life. I can see why she's a little bit more. Yeah, I gave her a little bit of crap for like being that kind of like, oh, I'm very shy and I don't talk very much and I have a hard time speaking to people. But yeah, now that I'm starting to remember like her circumstances, I can understand why she's a little bit more withdrawn, because she's basically been tortured. Sakura has grown beautiful. No, she was beautiful before, but I think she's become too beautiful as a member of the opposite sex. On top of that, she's thoughtful and gentle. With that many good qualities, I can understand her being called beautiful along Tosaka Rin. But it's strange. I don't understand it. Sakura's alone often. She doesn't seem to have any friends in the archery club, and seeing how she's alone in this classroom, she might not have any friends in her class either. Come to think of it, I only know Sakura from the archery club and from my place. I don't know how she is at school or at home. While I think about this, looking up at the red sky.
先輩、覚えてますか？
Looking outside, Sakura asks me a question.
覚えてるかって何を？
ずっと昔の話です。私がまだ先輩を知らなかった頃の話。
つまりさくらと知り合う前の話か？
はい、4年前、私が進学したばかりの頃です。
Yeah, and the events were. How long? You think I would know by now how long ago? Like the previous Holy Grail War. So how old would she have been back then? Also, was there any mention of Shinji? The thing is, I thought it was the whole thing about like the males were the ones who had the powers, like the magical abilities. So why was she the one that was being tortured? Was she like doing that to be given strength to Shinji? I wish I could remember. I haven't watched the anime. I watched it like a couple of years ago, so I don't really remember the circumstances of it.
まだ新しい学校に慣れてなくて、あてもなく廊下を歩いているとき、私、不思議なものを見たんですよ。あれは一体どういう経緯だったんでしょうね。
So this'll be interesting actually. Now that I'm remembering about Sakura being in the Fate anime, what happened to her, to see the circumstances of like what happened to her after all of those events, and you know how she ended up at school, and like why she's the way she is. So I gave Sakura a little bit of crap at the beginning, but I'm like, I think there's the potential here for this to be a very interesting dive into her and potentially like her. I'm sure she'd have some sort of PTSD if she remembers at all what happened to her as a kid.
もう放課後でグラウンドには陸上部の人もいないっていうのに、誰かが一人だけで走ってたんです。何をしてるのかなって見てみると、その人一人で走り高跳びをしてました。
Apparently he caught a couple of girls' attention. What didn't Tosaka? She had like those memories in her head when Shirou was doing that like connection with her, and then he saw the memory of her watching someone do high jumps. A smile. It must be a lovely memory. Sakura smiling happily.
真っ赤な夕焼けだったんです。校庭も廊下もみんな真っ赤で、綺麗だけど寂しかった。そんな中でですね、一人でずっと走ってるんです。走って飛んで棒を落としてまた繰り返して、周りには誰もいなくて、その高さを越えられないって分かってるのに、ずっと試し続けてました。頑張ればなんとかなるって問題じゃないんですよ。だってその棒、その人の身長よりずっと高かったんです。私から見ても無理だってわかるんだから、その人だってとっくに飛べないって分かってたと思うんです。
I understand, but I wonder what she's talking about. I don't think it's strange to see someone practicing even after school.
私、その時良くない子だったんです。
Something bad had happened to me.
嫌なことがあって、
Oh.
誰かに八つ当たりしたかった。
So she had some dark thoughts, understandably.
諦めちゃえって。その人がくじける瞬間が見たくなって。
Oh, is she gonna say like watching this boy? Gee, I wonder who that could be. Encouraged her to not be so negative and try and be positive and try and do better?
けどなかなか諦めてくれないんですよ、その人。何度も何度も見ているこっちが怖くなるぐらいできっこないことを繰り返して、全然泣き言を言わなかったんです。
ああ、そりゃよっぽど切羽詰まってたんじゃないのか。明日がレギュラー選定でその高さを飛べないと選ばれないとか。
いいえ、それは違います。だってその人陸上部でも何でもない人でしたから。
Oh, I see. Well, that's fine, but why are you smiling, Sakura?
それでですね、私見ているうちに気がついたんです。その人別に何でもいいんだなって。今日たまたま自分のできないことにぶつかってなら負けないぞって意地を張ってただけなんです。そうして日が落ちて、その人は一人で片付けをして帰っちゃいました。すごく疲れてるのに何でもなかったみたいに平然とどっか行っちゃったんです。
わかんないやつだな。けどやめたってことは飛べたんだろ、そいつ。それ何メートルぐらいの高さだったんだ？
これがですね、結局飛べなかったんです。その人3時間もずーっと走って、どうやっても自分じゃ飛べないって納得しただけなんです。
うわ、落ちてないな、その話。
はい、あんまりにもまっすぐすぎてその人の心配をしちゃったぐらいです。その人はきっとすごく頼りがいのある人なんです。けどそこが不安で寂しかった。
Her voice itself sounds so lonely. It seems like it'd be swallowed by the red in this room.
はあ、話は分かったけど、それが何だってんだよ、さくら。
いえ、わからないのならいいんです。私にはそう見えただけで、その人自身にとっては日常茶飯事だったということで。
Despite her gloomy mood earlier, Sakura smiles sweetly. And then, even though I'm pretty dull, I understand when she puts it like that. I don't remember it myself, but 4 years ago was right after my father died. Back then, I did lots of reckless things, so I guess I did something like that.
ああ、さくら、つまりそれは。
はい、今私の前にいる上級生さんでした。あの頃は小柄だったから同じ学年かなって勘違いしちゃったんです。
Ugh, I wish she wouldn't talk about my height back then. Well, I'm not that tall even now, but I did grow, you know.
そういうことです。私その時から先輩のことは知ってたんですよ。
そっか、それは初耳。
I look away. She saw me during an embarrassing moment. Then,
はい、私たち同じものを見てたんです。
with a gesture like a prayer, Sakura says something strange.
え？
I ask, feeling worried. But as if to drown it out, the familiar bell echoes through the school.
鐘鳴っちまったな。
It's been 30 minutes since I stopped Sakura. The clock says 4:30.
さすがにこれ以上の遅刻はやばいよな。片付けはやっとくから、さくらは先に行っていいぞ。体、少しは良くなっただろ？
はい、おかげさまで元気いっぱいです。今日の夕飯は楽しみにしててください。
So, yeah, I'm assuming she does know about the Holy Grail War. I mean, she was very young, because the Holy Grail, last one was like 10 years ago, right? So she would have been quite young, and she might not even know why they were doing that stuff to her that they were doing. She might have no idea that it was for the Holy Grail War. But just the way she reacted to that bruise, I think she knows what's going on, assuming that that bruise is from the command spell. Which is weird, because usually the command spell only shows up like once you come into contact with your servant. Sakura gets up. It doesn't seem like she's bluffing, as she really does seem well.
だって悪いさくら、俺これからバイトだ。今日は遅くなるから無理してうちに来なくていい。
はい、わかりました。ならお夕飯だけ作って置いていきますね。
Sakura bows and leaves.
ま、いっか。
Fujine will be at my house, so she should be able to take Sakura home when she leaves. I have to make a living too, so I should go to work quickly. "20 minutes after taking the bus from my school, I arrive at the neighboring town of Shinto across the bridge."
なんだ、まだ5時前か。少し時間があるな。
Miyama City is a residential district, so there's no part-time jobs there, but the developing Shinto has many available. The school approves of students having part-time jobs, so I work a few easy ones. I prefer hard physical labor that ends as quickly as possible. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone, as it builds my body while I get paid for it. Today's job is a simple loading job from 5 to 8. Even though it's only 3 hours, there's 6 hours worth of work to do. They make you run around without a minute's rest. So I should rest where I can, even if it's just for 10 minutes. It's a waste of energy walking around until my job, so I guess I'll rest in the park. This park among the buildings is like a big field. A park should be filled with people, like families and lovers on weekends, but it's empty here now. No, this place is always desolate.
相変わらずだな、ここは。
I'm a bit sad. The utterly neglected grounds look awful compared to the neatly organized surroundings. The desolate area makes the wind feel cold. This is the remains of the conflagration 10 years ago, and this is the place where I was saved from burning to death.
なんで芝生とか植えないんだろう。いつまでもこのままってのはもったいない。
It's a large area, so if they retiled it, the park would get bigger. Thinking absent-mindedly, I sit down on a bench. I stare at the burned land to pass the time. I don't remember what happened here back then. I probably don't remember because I was a kid, and it wouldn't have been an easy scene to memorize. All I can remember is it was hot and I couldn't breathe, and that people died trying to save others.
どうしてそうなのかな。
For example, an adult that tried to save a child from a burning house. He saved the child but died in its place. For example, there were people who had their throats burned, but they gave what little water they had to one guy, and the others died. For example, there was someone who ran alone to get away from the fire as fast as possible, and everyone he passed on the way died. And for example, people who died because they gave away something that was saving them, only to save others they didn't even know. I didn't like things like that. It makes me mad that those who tried hard were sacrificed. Am I greedy to want an ending where everybody is safe and happy? All I wanted was to see people relax peacefully. So why couldn't I manage such a simple thing?
それは難しい。シロの言っていることは誰も彼も救うということだからね。
Kirutsugu answered so to the question I asked as a child. Of course, as a child, I denied it. Because Kirutsugu saved me, I knew he was a sorcerer who could do anything. I knew he was a superhero who couldn't ignore people in need, who saved them for no benefit. So I believed Kirutsugu could have saved everyone back then. When I told him that, he made a troubled expression and said something I remember to this day.
シロ、誰かを救うということは誰かを助けないということなんだ。いいかい？正義の味方に助けられるのはね。
Man, that's
正義の味
a
方
little
が
bit of a shitty thing to
助けた
say.
ものだけなんだよ。
I know that he was just a kid,
当
but
た
to
り
say
前
it's
のこ
like,
とだけど、これが正義の味方の定義なんだ。
you know, like Kirutsugu probably already feels guilty that he wasn't able to save more people, and he was kind of the cause of all that in the first place. But for the kid to be like, hey, couldn't you have saved everybody? Why'd you just save me? Little dickish. I understand that. It's obvious now that he said it. Let's say that there's a robber and some hostages, and the robber intends to kill the hostages. With normal methods, most of the hostages would be killed. Even if you use a miraculous method to save all the hostages, there would still be one person who isn't saved. That, of course, is the robber whose hostages were rescued. The people a superhero saves are only those he decides to save. That's why even God can't save everyone.
それが天才ならなおさらだ。誰であろうと全てを助けるなんてできなかった。
The fire 10 years ago was like that. It's not something I, who was miraculously saved from it, can talk about now.
けど嫌だ。
I don't want such a thing. I don't want help that has a limited capacity. You have to help, no matter how impossible it is. I can't stand to have strangers dying around me like back then. So if I'd been there 10 years ago, even if it was impossible, I would have gone into the fire and...
そのまま無駄死にしてたろうな。間違いなく。
That's for certain. Geez, I'm hopeless.
しまった。ぼんやりしてたら5時になっちまった。
The 5 o'clock bell rings. I stand up and quickly make my way to work. When my job's done, the sun has already set. It's a bit before 8. I finished 10 minutes early because I worked too hard. It seems I worked frantically since I went to that place before work. Here in front of the station, the night is just getting started. There are lots of people and a constant flow of cars on the road. The buildings are still lit up, and just looking at them makes me feel like I'm watching a grand festival of illumination.
藤姉にお土産はいいか。
I walk while looking up at the lighted building. It's the biggest building in Shinto, so I can't see the top clearly. Is this where he's going to see Rin? I just gaze up the building, just enjoying the night scenery. Yep, when I think I see something out of place.
なんだ今の。
I stop and stare at the rooftop. I focus my eyes looking at the thing as small as a grain of rice. It looks like someone I know. Why is she there? What would she be doing there? With her long hair fluttering and doing nothing, she looks down at the town. It doesn't seem like she notices me down here. No, there's no way she could see me. She's so high up that I, with better eyesight than most, can barely see her by improving my vision with magical energy. I can recognize her since she's standing there alone. There's no way she would notice me down here among all these people. She's just looking down at the town. Maybe she's looking for something, as I can feel her sharp stare even down here. I forget about time and keep looking up at the girl standing in the sky. She's on top of a tall tower. She's like a witch looking down at the earth with the moon behind her. And then, she must be done with whatever she was doing as she disappears. Her figure has disappeared and the scene returns to the beautiful view of the night.
今の遠坂だったのかな。
I have no proof, but I think I'm right. There aren't many girls with looks that stand out that much, and more than that, I'm not stupid enough to mistake a girl I secretly admire.
そうか。にしても。
Well, Tosaka sure has strange hobbies. I return to Miyama City. Unlike Shinto, it's really quiet here, as if it were midnight already.
Sakura, 大丈夫かな。
She seemed to be feeling better, but since she came to my place to make dinner, I think I've made her push herself again.
ちょっと様子見てくるか。
It's not like I'll achieve anything by going to her house now, but it should make me feel better than doing nothing. Maybe he'll get there and oh my gosh, why have I blanked on his name? Gilgamesh. Maybe he'll just be outside. There's nothing wrong at her house. There's no sign of the strange foreigner Sakura was talking about, and the lights are on only in Sakura and Shinji's rooms as usual. Wait a minute. Then what was that light yesterday? Was there someone other than Sakura and Shinji in the house?
もし何かこの家に用があるのかね。
That's a voice I don't recognize. That's definitely not Kyrie. I spin around. In the darkness of the night, as if hiding in the sound of the bugs, a figure is standing. Ah, that's him! Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't make that connection about the bugs. I was thinking about the bugs, I'm like, oh, maybe that's a familiar, maybe that's an assassin thing, but I'm like, of course, the dude, that's the old dude with the bugs. Okay, yep, so that whole thing is happening. I don't know if that's happening with Sakura this time, but he definitely did that to her before. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, that's right, that's the old guy. That's the old guy that made the deal with that man. I want to look up his name, but I don't want to risk spoiling anything for myself. He's an unfamiliar old man. Oh my gosh, I'm so silly. As soon as I heard those bugs, I should have made that connection. He must be really old, but he has sharp eyes and a presence that doesn't match his small body. Perhaps it's the difference in the years we've lived, but he has a dignity that pressures me.
どうした若いの。なぜ答えん。 答えねばこちらで決めつけてしまうぞ。うん。ではさくらが言っておった不審なよそ者がお前さんだということでよいかな？
So I'm guessing this guy just happened to show up because of the Holy Grail War, and he's probably coaching Shinji about, you know, how to win. And I bet he is going to use Sakura again to, like, zap her energy, or whatever he was doing with those bugs. Sakura? Then could this person be...
参ったのう。孫の頼みだ。見過ごしておくわけにもいくまい。見ず知
Granddaughter,
らず
that's
のお前
right.
さんには申し訳ないが、
That's even
少
more
し
fucked
痛い
up
目に遭ってもらわねばならん。
that he did that to his own granddaughter. Yeah.
念のため聞いておくが、潔く香木の厄介になる気はないか。
Yeah, he seems like Mr. Protective Grandpa, but I know what you did to her, sir. The unknown old man asks me such a question. There's no mistake. This is the first time I've met him, but he must be.
いや違います。俺はシンジの同級生でさくらとは知り合いで、散歩がてらに様子を見に来たエミヤシロウというものです。
ああ、そうか。シンジとさくらの知り
That
合
is a
いか。
creepy ass eye.
それは邪魔をしたな。どれ、二人を呼んでこよう。それとも夕飯を馳走されるかね。
いえ、ちょっと寄っただけですからすぐ帰ります。それよりおじいさん、さくらはもうちゃんと帰ってきてますか？
造剣じゃ。
The old man says an unfamiliar word.
マトウ造剣。お前さんが名乗ったというのに、わしが名乗らんままではおかしかろう。
Matou Zoken says so and walks towards the entrance. It seems like he doesn't care about me anymore. Overwhelmed, I see him off without a word. And then...
さくらならば帰ってきておる。それよりエミやシロ。アインツベルンの娘は
Oh, he
創
knows
建
all
か
that
ね。
stuff, right? Ah, that's right, because, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting everybody's names right now? I'm terrible. Ilya. She said in one of the dead ends or one of the tiger dojos that she was going to have a bigger presence in this route.
アインツ、何ですか？
とぼけるでない。アインツベルンの娘がエミヤを訪
And
ね
they're
るのは
finally going to
どうり、
bring up, maybe?
こたびの座の出来はどうかと問うておる。
Because it's been so frustrating all of this time, Ilya did not once say about her whole relation to Kiritsugu. Not once. I don't know why she didn't do that. Maybe some, like, she must know, right? So I think this is going to be where it all comes out, where, like, she's the daughter of Kiritsugu, and that's why Ilya has such a fascination and, like, an obsession with Shirou. I don't understand at all. I'm sorry, Sakura, but your old man is pretty hard to deal with.
どうやら本当に知らんらしいな、これは。
Zoken sighs. He looks so shocked that I feel kind of sorry for him.
はあ、よくわかりませんけど、すみません。
いやいや、お主が気に病むことはない。わしの勘違いじゃ。つまらぬことを言ってすまなかった。そら、孫たちに用があるのなら遠慮することはない。年寄りは隠居しておるでな。気兼ねなく尋ねるがよい。
いや、今日は本当に寄っただけです。けど、おじいさん、この家に住んでいるんですか？
住んでおるとも。もっとも見ての通りの老体でな。日がな一日奥座敷でくたびれておる。
I see. I came to their house until about a year ago, but it seemed that no one other than Sakura and Shinji lived there.
では失礼するぞ、エミヤシロウ君。うちの孫たちとよくしてやってくれ。
Despite his appearance, he leaves with light footsteps. There's no change in the house, but the sound of the bugs has suddenly stopped. That's so creepy, knowing who he actually is and what he's done. I love that. See, things like this, maybe some people feel like I should have played this, you know, before watching the show, but I'm happy I watched the show because it gives context to the previous Holy Grail War. And also, maybe it's a little bit of a spoiler for myself, but I know who this guy is and I know why the sound of bugs are around him. The day ends. Finishing a rowdy dinner and seeing Fujine off, I take a bath. After that, I practice my daily routine in the shed. I complete it as usual and go to sleep. It's 1 a.m. The day ends peacefully with no troubles. Now that won't be happening for long. Suddenly all the troubles are going to start happening. I'm in a fire. Collapsing buildings and burning people. No matter how far I run, the scenery is always red. This is a vision of 10 years ago. A memory of the distant past I haven't remembered in a while. I run through it as if recreating the scene. There's no escape even though I know it's a dream. I run, keep running. In the end, where I end up is how I'm saved after running out of energy. I wake up with a bad feeling, a feeling like a metal weight is inside my chest. I feel my forehead and find I'm sweating a lot even though it's winter.
ああ、もうこんな時間か。
It's already past 6 o'clock. From the kitchen, I can hear the sound of the kitchen knife cutting something.
さくら、今朝も早いな。
There's no time to be impressed. I have to get ready quickly and go help fix breakfast.
シロ、今日どうするのよ。土曜日だから午後はアルバイト？
いや、バイトは入ってないよ。一世のところで何かやってると思うけど、それがどうかしたか？
別に。暇だったら道場の方に遊びに来てくんないかなーって。私、今月ピンチなのだ。
ん？ピンチって何がさ？
お財布事情がピンチなの。誰かがお弁当作ってくれると嬉しいんだけどな。
断る。自業自得だ。たまには一食ぐらい抜いた方がいい。
で、シローには期待してないもん。私が頼りにしてるのはさくらちゃんだけなんだから。ね、さくらちゃん。
はい、私と同じものでよろしければ用意しておきますね、先生。
オッケーオッケー。じゃあ今日は一緒にお昼を食べましょう。
Breakfast continues as usual. Today, along with the usual, there's simmered lotus root with chicken. I don't think she has to make anything this elaborate for breakfast, but I think she made a lot of it to take for lunch, too. Sakura is a member of the archery club, and Fujini is in charge of the archery club. It's natural for them to share lunches.
そういえばシロー、今朝は遅かったけど何かあった？
Fujini looks at me sipping her miso soup. Geez, she's usually slow, but she gets sharp only at times like this.
昔の夢を見た。寝覚めがすっげえ悪かっただけで、あとはなんともない。
なんだ、いつものことか。なら安心かな。
Fujini ends the conversation like she's not interested. I'm not worried at all about it either, so I shouldn't get mad about it. 10 years ago, I used to have nightmares back when I couldn't get the fire out of my mind. But I saw less of it as time passed, and I'm well over it now that I can let it slide even after dreaming about it. But I guess it was pretty bad back then. Since Fujini has been here since that time, she's sensitive to my change.
シロー、食欲はある？今朝に限ってないとかない？
ない。なんともないんだから、人の夢にかこつけて飯を横取りするな。
シローが強くなってくれて嬉しいけど、もうちょっと繊細でいてくれた方がいいな、お姉ちゃんは。
そりゃこっちのセリフだ。もうちょっと可憐になってくれた方がいいぞ、弟分としては。
We make fun of each other without looking at each other. That proves my liveliness, and Fujini laughs with relief. To be honest, I'm glad she's worrying, but she'll be elated if I thank her, so I act like I'm discontented. Not knowing the circumstances, Sakura looks puzzled at the way we're acting. After Fujini leaves, we lock the house and leave.
さくら、なんだよ、元気がないな。
Feel like
もしかして また体調が悪くなったのか?
The grandpa's already doing the stuff with the bugs to her. It's like she's just devoid of life.
いえ、体の調子はいいです。先輩の方こそ大事はありませんか？今朝もどこか気分が悪そうでしたし、昨日の傷も悪化してるかもしれません。
Yesterday's bruise? Oh, that welt on my left hand.
いや、あざはあれっきりだけどな。ただの腫れだからしばらくすれば治るだろう。
She must be worried about something as she continues to stare at me.
いや、本当に大丈夫だって。大したことないぞ、本当。なんだよ。昨日からおかしいぞ、さくら。こんなのただのあざだろ？それとも何か？俺が寝てる間にさくらが踏んづけてできたあざだとか。
先輩、私そんなに重くありません。私は
ただ間違いだったら。
Mm-hmm. She's wrong about him being in the Holy Grail War. I don't understand her. Sakura doesn't talk much, but she tends to say important things clearly. She doesn't usually talk like this.
先輩、お願いがあるんですけど、いいですか？
ん？ああ、できる範囲でなら聞くけど、なんだ？
はい、私、明日の夜までお手伝いに来られないんです。その間、できるだけ家の中にいてもらえませんか？
This is also interesting too, because I always talk about how we don't see Sakura for a while after, and if all of this stuff was happening through the other routes, like her probably being, I don't know, her being used in some way to help Shinji, help with his powers, like to make him stronger in some way. It's cool. That's what I like about playing the different routes, is like things that you don't think about previous ones with context. You're like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, you know, I figured we didn't see Sakura mostly because a lot of the time she just got told not to come to the house because it's dangerous for her. But now it's the opposite. Now she's telling us to be like, hey, keep yourself safe.
それ、日曜のバイトは休めってことか？
はい、できる限り家にいてほしいんです。私の用事が終わればお手伝いに来ますから。
まあ、1日ぐらい休んでもいいか。よし、じゃあ、休日は家でのんびりしてる。それでいいか、さくら。
Now that I'm thinking about it, when I talk about how we hadn't seen her for a while, and it could just be something bad was happening to her. Now that I think about it, she did come over a decent amount at certain times, and there was, I'm trying to think, wasn't there a time where Sakura was in the hospital or something? I think that was when the school got attacked or something. I'm trying to remember if she was in the hospital, if that was related to that or something different. I just want to know if Sakura was okay during all that time, because it basically was just radio silence for quite a while once the Holy Grail War started, and now I'm starting to think, I'm like, oh, maybe something was happening to her. But then after Shinji died, because he died pretty early on in the first route, what happened to her during that time?
はい、そうしてもらえると助かります。
I guess it's fine to relax once in a while. I have some extra living expenses from working a lot recently, so I'll clean up all the junk this weekend. I leave Sakura, who has club activities, and head to the school building. The schoolyard's full of spirited students running around. But still, there's something oddly wrong here. The school's like it always is. The students at morning practice are lively, and the new school building is spotless.
気のせいか、これ。
But when I close my eyes, the air completely changes. The school building is covered with stains like membranes, and the students running around the schoolyard seem like empty dolls.
疲れてるのかな、俺。
I shake my head to clear it. I head to the lifeless building. School ends early on Saturdays. Classes end before noon, and after I finish helping Issei, the sun is starting to set.
さて、そろそろ帰るか。
I pack up and leave my classroom. And then,
なんだ
yeah,
まだ
you.
学校にいたんだエミヤ
I bump into Shinji. There are a couple of girls behind him being rowdy.
やることもないくせにまだ残ってたのああそうかまた生徒会にごますってたわけねいいねエミヤは部活なんてやんなくても内心稼げるんだからさ
生徒会の手伝いじゃないぞ。学校の備品を直すのは生徒として当たり前だろ。使ってるのは俺たちなんだから。
よく言うよエミヤに言わせればなんだって当たり前だからねそういういい子ぶりが勘に触るって前に言わなかったっけ
すまん。よく覚えていない。それシンジの口癖だと思っていたからどうも聞き流してたみたいだ。
そうかいそれじゃあ学校にあるものなら何でも直してくれるんだエミヤは
何でも直すなんて無理だ。せいぜい面倒見るぐらいだが。
よしなら頼まれてくれようちの弓道場さ今割と散らかってるんだよね弦も巻いてないのが溜まってるし暇ならさそっちの方もよろしくやってくれないかな元弓道部員だろ生徒会になんか尻尾振ってないでたまには僕たちの役に立ってくれ
ちょっと先輩それって先輩が藤村先生に言われてたことじゃなかった？
そうですよ。ちゃんとやっておかないと明日怒られますよ。
でもさ今から片付けしてたら店閉まるじゃんそこの人がやってくれんならそれでいいんじゃないの？
悪いよ。それに部外者に後片付けなんかできるわけないし。
そうでもないんじゃない？あの人元弓道部員だってシンジが言ってるしさ任せちゃえばいいのよ。
They're getting rowdy behind Shinji. It seems that they're in the archery club, but they must be members that Shinji recruited recently, as I don't know them.
じゃああとはよろしく鍵の場所は変わってないから勝手にやっといてよ文句ないよねエミヤ
なあ構わないよ。どうせ暇だったからたまにはこういうのも悪くない。
サンキューそれじゃあ行こうぜみんなつまんない雑用はあいつがやっといてくれるってさ
待ってよ先輩。じゃああとはよろしくお願いしますね先輩。
The cleaning ends quite easily as I know the place well. It took a while as it's quite big, but it was fun cleaning the place I used until a year and a half ago. I picked up a bow thinking it might be okay to shoot just once, but since it wasn't mine, I decided not to. If I ever want to, I could just bring my own bow and come here.
にしてもカーボン製の弓が多くなったな。1年前までは1つしかなかったのに。
And also, I just the fact that he was in the archery club. He's good with bows. I was like, okay, yep. All these little clues they just kind of gave you about, why that is. Carbon-based bows are good, unlike wood and plastic bows. But the biggest problem is the price, and they're not something we could buy with the club budget. Back then, Shinji was the only one using it. Are the new members rich too?
もったいない。木の弓の方がいろいろと手を加えられるのに。
Well, I guess that's personal taste. When I look at the clock, it's way past curfew. It's a little after 7 o'clock. The gates should be closed by now, so there's no reason to rush. But still, was this dojo always this dirty? There are loads of places that look unkempt.
ここまで来たら1時間も2時間も変わらないか。
I've started this, so I'll finish the job. The wind is blowing. It's so cold my cheeks are getting numb. Fuyuki City isn't usually cold during the winter, but it is cold tonight of all nights. My breath hangs around as a white cloud. I wrap up my body to hold off the cold.
なんだ。暗いと思ったら月が隠れてるのか。
There's no light to the sky when I look up. Because of the strong winds, the clouds are moving fast. It's past curfew and there's no sign of life in the empty school. It seems this place is filled only with chill, as it's all silent. Yep, here we go, just now. I think I hear something.
確かに聞こえる。校庭の方か。
So I know that this is stuff you guys have already seen, but I know that there are some things to skip, but I feel like the lead up to meeting Saber it's always good rather than just all of a sudden like I skip and all of a sudden Saber's there. So I do want to watch this part. This night, I must have been curious about the sound that broke the silence. To investigate it, I find myself heading there, even though I somehow know I mustn't. I go to the schoolyard.
人?
Well, they only look like that from a distance. It's a dark night with no light. If I want to know more, I'll have to go closer to the schoolyard. I can hear the sounds louder now. It's the sound of metal hitting metal. That must mean someone is fighting with weapons.
バカバカしい。何考えてるんだ、俺。
I dismiss the image from my mind with a bitter smile and walk on. Time. Maybe my instincts noticed the danger as I hid myself as I approached. I don't know if this is fortunate or not. But anyways, when I get by a tree that's big enough to hide myself, I take a closer look at the source of the sound. My mind stops completely. There's something strange there. A man in red and a man in blue. They're dangerously armed, and as their ominous appearance suggests, they're actually slashing at each other. I can't understand. I can't follow them with my eyes. My brain doesn't work properly, faced with their impossible movements. But the clang of their weapons tells me they're trying to kill each other. I just knew immediately when I saw them. They're not human. They're probably just things that look like humans. I can tell not because I'm learning magic. Anyone would realize they're not human. After all, humans can't move like that. So there's something no one should associate with. I can feel their murderous intent even from a distance. I'm going to die. My body understands faster than my brain that I'll definitely die if I stay here. That's why my heart is racing so fast. As a living thing like them, I sense that they're living things made only to kill. They're using weapons made only to kill. I remember the murder yesterday. They said the family was killed with some weapon like a sword. I shouldn't watch any longer, but my body won't follow my commands and I can't even breathe. My mind wants to run away, but my judgment tells me I'll be seen the moment I run. More than the conflict within me, my body is just numb. Even though I'm over 40 meters away, I can't breathe properly. It's like I have a spear pointed right at my back. The sounds stop. The figures separate and stand facing each other. The moment I feel relief at the end of their battle, I sense an even stronger intention to kill. My heart stops. The numbness in my body becomes convulsions, and I clench my teeth to try to hold my trembling body.
嘘だ。なんだあいつ。
An overwhelming amount of magical energy is flowing into the guy in blue. Kiritsugu showed me once what it's like to draw in magical energy from the surroundings. It was a beautiful magic that impressed even an amateur like me. But that thing is different. Just as even the simple task of drinking water could seem ugly if it goes too far. What he's doing is so excessive that anyone with knowledge of magical energy would hate it. He's going to die. The guy in red's going to die. It's a blow with that much concentrated magical energy. There's no way he'll be able to survive it. He'll die. He's not human, so something merely like a human will die. That's something I can just ignore? That doubt takes my mind off them. The binds on my body disappear in the instant I take a deep breath.
誰だ?
The guy in blue stares at me, who's hiding. The blue guy's body sinks. Just that motion tells me I'm his target now. My legs start running automatically. I finally realize it's an action to escape death, and I put all the energy into my body into running away. It'll be interesting to see how Archer is going to, like, now that we know the truth about who Archer is, like, how long is he going to survive in this one, and how is he going to react to me? I don't know how fast I ran, but before I know it, I'm in the school building.
何を? Fuck.
He's like the person in a horror movie who just, like, runs up a house. Instead of, like, leaving, they run up the stairs and then they trap themselves. I regret my actions, panting heavily. I should have run into town to get away. What am I doing fleeing to such a deserted place? In a school of all things. Isn't there some better place to hide than here? Anyways, why do I think I'll be killed if I don't escape? My heart aches from running so much. Turning around, I can sense nothing pursuing me. The only sound in the air is the sound of my footsteps. So I can finally rest. I stop my feet, unable to take another step, send oxygen to my pumping heart, and look up to finally realize that I'm safe.
なんだったんだ今の
I recall the scene from earlier while catching my breath. Anyway, I'm sure it wasn't something I should have seen. Some things like humans were fighting in the school grounds. That's all I can remember. But there was something else I saw out of the corner of my eye.
もう一人誰かいた気がするけど
But I can't remember what the figure looked like. To be honest, I didn't have the composure to notice anything other than those two fighting.
けどこれでともかく
追いかけっこは終わりだろ
The voice comes from right in front of me.
いや割と遠くまで走ったなお前
I can't breathe. My brain stops, and even though I can't think, I vaguely understand that I'm going to die.
逃げられないってのはお前自身が誰よりも分かってたんだろう何やられる側ってのは得てしてそういうもんだ別に恥じることじゃない
The lance is casually raised.
運が悪かったな坊主見られたからには死んでくれや
And the man's lance mercilessly pierces Emiya Shirou's heart. There wasn't even time to dodge it. All the training I did was for nothing. I knew I was going to be killed. I knew I was going to be pierced by that lance, yet I couldn't move at all. The world distorts. My body grows cold. Feeling vanishes from my fingertips. I cough up blood once. More blood should have come up, but it only happens once. Perhaps the man's lance is special. The blood slowly clots and the heart that should have exploded stops working with just a single pierce. I can't see well. There's no feeling in me. I feel like a jellyfish floating in the dark sea at night. I don't feel any pain. The world is white and only I am black. So rather than feeling like I'm dead, it's more like the world around me has disappeared. I know this. I felt this 10 years ago. This is how someone feels when dying.
死人に口なしってな弱いやつがくたばるのは当然といえば当然だが
I can't concentrate on my vision.
まったく嫌な仕事をさせてくれるこのざまで英雄とは笑い草だ
I can only hear voices.
分かっている文句はないさ女のサーバントは見たんだおとなしく戻ってやるよ
See, this is why I think sometimes it's not bad to, like, as much as part of me wants to skip over the stuff I've already seen, I feel like when you play a game like this, it's good to rewatch parts because you might catch things that you didn't notice before. A voice filled with irritation. After that, I hear footsteps running through the hallway.
アーチャーか蹴りをつけておきたいところだがマスターの方針を破るわけにもいくまい
Right? Like this whole thing.
まったくいけすかねえマスターだ
Like
こと
we know who his master is, and we also know that the plan that Kyrie had for him was to not kill any of the servants, but just to fight them to see, like, you know, get intel on them, basically. The voice suddenly disappears. I guess he jumped out of a window or something. And after that, footsteps approach me and stop. In that brief period, more footsteps. I can't hear much now.
追ってアーチャーランサーはマスターのところに戻るはずせめて相手の顔ぐらい把握しないと
Whose voice was that? I concentrate my fading mind, but I can't remember anything. Right now, my breathing is too noisy. My lungs must still be alive. The air coming out of my mouth is as loud as a hurricane.
その割にはまだ死んでないってのはすごいな
I sense someone looking at my face. Perhaps my breathing was loud as the figure tries to close my mouth, and...
やめてよねなんだってあんたが
I hear the person grit their teeth. Then they touch me without hesitation.
破損した臓器を寄贈して代用 その間に心臓一つ丸々修復か。こんなの成功したら時計塔に一発合格ってレベルじゃない。
A pain-filled voice. With that, my mind stops fading. Feeling returns to my body. Slowly, bit by bit, like a drop of water going down a leaf, feeling returns to my body. What is the person doing? The person is sweating and places their hand on my chest with all their heart. When I notice, the place where the person placed their hand is terribly hot. It must be so hot that the frozen blood melted and started to flow again. I sense someone take a deep breath and sit down.
疲れた。
I hear a clang of something falling.
まあ仕方ないか。ごめんなさい、父さん。あなたの娘はとんでもなく薄情者です。
And that's it. The person speaks to mock themselves and leaves. My heart resumes its activity, and then my mind stops. This is not the sleep of death. This is a restful sleep to recover the energy to wake up again. I wake up. I feel sick. My whole body is in pain, and I have a sharp headache every time my head throbs.
何が起きた？
I can't remember because of the sharp headache. My body is cold, probably from lying on the floor for a long time. The only certain thing is my ripped uniform and my own blood on the floor. I get up with a hazy head. The spot where I was lying looks like a murder scene.
本当に
Had my chest pierced? Bearing the pain, I enter the closest classroom. Moving to the locker with unsteady steps, I take out a mop and a bucket. I just love even when he's like coming back from death, he's like, oh, I gotta clean up. I gotta make sure everything looks good.
何してんだろう俺。
He just can't help himself. That's just how he is. I'm still confused. Why do I still think I have to clean up when I've just met something totally outrageous and been killed instantly? Am I an idiot?
くそ、落ちない。
I wipe the floor with the mop. With unsteady hands, I manage to get the blood wiped off and pick up any trash lying around and put it into my pocket. Maybe I'm destroying the evidence. I'm still in a daze, so perhaps that's why I'm doing something so absurd. I put back the mop and bucket and leave the school like a zombie. I get hotter as I walk. The air is so cold, but it feels like my body is burning. When I get home, the day has already changed. There's no one home. Neither Fujine nor Sakura is around me. I collapse to the floor. I lie on the ground and finally calm down. I take a deep breath. When I inhale, my heart cries in pain as if crackling apart. No, that's wrong. It wasn't just cracked. It had a hole in it, but it healed, and the wound tries to open up again when I inhale.
殺されかけたのは本当か？
No, that's wrong too. I wasn't almost killed. I was actually killed. But I'm still alive in spite of that because someone saved me.
誰だったんだあれ。礼ぐらい言わせてほしいもんだけど。
Since the person was there, that person might have something to do with them. But that makes no difference to the fact the person saved me. I have to thank them one of these days. The moment I let my guard down, the pain returns. At the same time, I feel like vomiting. I sit up and resist the sickness. I place my hand on my bare chest where the uniform is ripped. Even though I was saved, I did have a hole in my chest. That feeling, such an unpleasant feeling, a spearhead entering my body, isn't something I can forget easily.
くそ、しばらく夢に見るぞこれ。
If I close my eyes, it feels like the lance is still in me. I shake off the illusion and try to calm down.
よし、落ち着いてきた。
The result of all that training every night. Just taking a few deep breaths clears my mind, and the heat and nausea vanish from my body.
それであれのことだけど、
A man in blue and a man in red. They looked human, but I don't think they were. Were they like ghosts or something? But I've never heard of ghosts with form able to associate directly with people. And they were talking too. If they have their own will, it's hard for me to think of them as ghosts. I've heard the only ghosts with a body are spirits, but aren't they shaped differently from humans?
いや、問題はそんなじゃなくて。
There's another fundamental problem. Those two who were killing each other. The murderous burglar that appeared in the neighborhood. The ongoing ominous events in Fuyuki City. All I can tell with such thoughts is that it's way out of my league.
こんな時、親父が生きてれば。
Perhaps because the wound on my chest is so vivid, I complain about things I shouldn't.
まぬけ、わからなくても自分にできることをやるって決めてるじゃないか。
Complaining comes later. First, I have to decide whether or not it's my concern. The bell hung from the ceiling rings. This is a Magus's house, even if only a poor one. There's a boundary field that alerts me when a stranger enters the property.
こんな時に泥棒か。
As I speak, I realize my foolishness. That can't be it. With this timing, right after that strange incident, that can't be it. There's an intruder. Not a burglar, but an assassin who's here for my life. Because I remember that guy saying, "You saw us, so die." The house is filled with silence. In the silent darkness, the murderous intent I felt at school is slowly drawing closer. My throat gulps. I feel a sharp chill running down my spine. I will be instantly pierced if I move from this room. I frantically contain the scream about to escape my mouth. The instant I release it, the assassin will happily jump in and take the opportunity to kill me. If that happens, it will be just like before. Unprepared, I'll be pierced by that lance again. The moment I think about it, my breathing goes wild. Damn it. I'm ashamed that I'm about to give up my saved life so easily, and that I'm afraid. Gritting my teeth and holding my chest, I try to restrain myself. I should get used to it. This is the second time. I'm about to be killed. That alone is enough to make me want it to end differently from last time. Besides, I'm a magus. What have I been learning for the past 8 years if I can't even protect my own life?
いいぜ。やってやろうじゃないか。
Enough thinking. Right now, I just have to counter the intruder.
まずは武器をどうにかしないと。
Even though I'm a magus, all I can do is strengthen something that could be a weapon. To fight, I need a weapon. The shed has lots of things that could become weapons, but it's too far away. If I'm attacked when I leave the living room, it'll be just a repeat of what happened earlier. It'll be difficult, but I have to find a weapon here. Something long and thin would be best. My opponent's weapon is a lance, so something like a knife won't do. It would be great if there was a wooden sword or something, but of course, there's nothing. If anything here could be a weapon, it's...
うわ、藤姉が置いてったポスターしかねえ。
I'm disappointed, but despite that, I'm determined even in this hopeless situation. Things are already as bad as they can be, so they can't get any worse. So all I have to do is run forward until I run out of energy.
トレース。
With the words that suggest my reconstruction, I channel magical energy into the 60-centimeter long poster. I have to turn it into something that can repel that lance, so I need to channel magical energy into every corner and solidify it.
構成材質解明。
I extend my consciousness. As if soaking my blood into the poster through my skin, I permeate magical energy into it.
構成材質補強。
A sense that I've hit the bottom, right before the magical energy overflows from it.
トレースオフ。
I cut off all connection with the poster and shudder at the feeling of success. The poster is now as hard as metal, but it's as light as it was before, so I couldn't ask for a better sword.
うまくいった。
How many years has it been since I last succeeded the strengthening magic? It's kind of ironic. The magic I've never been able to achieve since Kiritsugu died is finally working in this kind of a situation.
ともあれこれで。
I might be able to do something. I have some knowledge of how to use a sword. I hold to the poster with both hands and stand up. I'll die anyway if I stay here, and I don't think I'd be able to flee even if I escaped this house. So all I can do is run straight to the shed and make a stronger weapon. Come if you're going to come. It won't be like before. In the instant I think that, my whole spine shivers. When did he arrive? Appearing from the ceiling, the guy drops straight at me. Silver light descends upon me. The guy that seems to have come straight through the ceiling descends to pierce my head. I frantically escape by rolling forward. He lands softly while I keep rolling, but as I stop rolling and stand with my freshly made sword in hand, he turns to face me looking bored.
余計な手間を。見えていればいたかろうと、俺なりの配慮だったのだがな。
He raises his lance again, seemingly uninterested. I don't know why, but he lacks the spirit he had at the school ground. In that case, I might be able to outwit him.
まったく、一日に同じ人間を二度殺す羽目になるとはな。いつになろうと、人の世は血生臭いということか。
The man is complaining as if he thinks nothing of me. I slowly move backwards. It's about 3 more meters to the window. Once out the window, it's about 20 meters to the shed. Then I can run off this instant.
じゃあな、今度こそ迷うなよ、坊主。
He says blankly as if sighing it out. Pain assails my right arm. It happened in an instant. The man's lance is thrust without time for me to react. I would have faced my second death with that blow, but what prevented it was my newly made sword. He must have thought it was just paper. The lance thrust as if the poster wasn't there, was deflected by it and only skimmed my right arm.
ほう、変わった芸風だな、おい。
The man's expression goes away. His carelessness disappears and he's now staring at me with beast-like eyes. I screwed up. I was just being stupidly optimistic when I thought I could do something. The thing before me is a monster beyond belief. Painfully, I realize my foolishness for letting my guard down even slightly against him. That's right. If I'd been really desperate, I should have ran frantically to the window as soon as I miraculously avoided his first attack.
ただの坊主かと思ったが、なるほど。微弱だが魔力を感じる。心臓をうがたれて生きているってのはそういうことか。
He points his lance at me. I won't be able to block it. I can't possibly block that lightning-fast blow. If his weapon were a sword, I might have been able to at least prepare for it. But that's a lance. A sword follows a line, but a lance has a point. How am I supposed to block a blow from a point I can't even see coming?
いいぜ。少しは楽しめそうじゃないか。
The man's body descends. In that instant, his lance is swung sideways. I block the lance coming at my face with just my instincts.
いい子だ。ほら次行くぞ。
There's a huge whirlwind. I don't know how he's moving the lance in this small room, but it makes a beautiful arc and comes to attack my body from the other side. My constructed sword moved to stop it bends. Is he using a hammer? Damn, this numbness feels like I've broken the bones in my arm.
Come out!
I swing the sword instinctively. He must take me lightly as he hasn't pulled back his lance, so I flick away the shaft with my sword. The arms that hit it go numb. The sword bends even more, and the man's lance only moves slightly.
使えねえな。機械をくれてやったのに無駄な真似しやがって。まあ、魔術師に切り合いを望んでも仕方ねえんだろうが。
The man was just playing with me. He let me hit him once since I blocked him twice. But I used up my one and only chance for just a makeshift attack. That's why he sees no point in fighting me anymore.
拍子抜けだ。やはりすぐに死ねよ、坊主。
He readies his lance again. During that small, unnecessary movement, without looking behind me, I jump out the window. I break the window with my back and roll outside. I roll a few times, get up, and with Without a thought, I turn and swing behind me. The man hesitates a moment as I deflected his lance thrust. As I expected. If I jumped out the window, he would definitely come after me. And he would kill me even before I could get up. That's why I expected the fatal blow and swung at it. It was a bold plan. I would have died if it was a second too later or a second too early. But considering the difference in our skill, I could have never been too early. So all I had to do was get up as fast as possible and swing at what was coming behind me. The result was perfect. I won my bet and deflected the man's lance. I quickly regained my balance. Now I have to make it to the shed before he recovers.
Tobe.
The man who supposedly had his lance knocked away comes up to me empty-handed and spins and executes a roundhouse kick. The scenery flies past me. My battered chest is numb and I can't breathe. No, what's more surprising is, I'm flying. I never in my dreams thought I'd be sent flying by a mere roundhouse kick. I fall to the ground from my back. I hit a wall and come crashing down. I can't breathe. My vision is blurred. I manage to stand supporting myself against the wall of my destination, the shed. Track the man with my blurry vision. I must have been kicked 20 meters. The man approaches, lance in hand. I'll be killed. I'll definitely be killed. The man will be here in a second. If I don't want to die now, I have to get up and face him. The lance comes out at me. I can't even turn around fully and my collapsing body faces the man's lance. How fortunate. I got lucky as I couldn't hold myself up and my knees collapsed. The lance goes over my head and hits the door of the shed, opening it. So, this is my last chance. If I go in the shed, there should be something I could use as a weapon. I enter the shed on all fours. There. Fatal, inescapable blow is thrust. And I block it. I unroll the poster and make it into a one-time shield. A huge impact. The opened-up poster did block the lance, but it was not strong enough. It's pierced through and transforms back into its original paper. Hit by the impact of the thrust lance, I'm flung to the wall. Fall on my butt and recover myself. When I raise my head to try and find a weapon. The man is pointing the lance at me. This is it. The man's lance is pointed directly at my heart. I know this. This is the smell of death I felt just a few hours ago. I can't hear him. My mind is focused only on the weapon in front of me. It's only natural, because I'll die when that thing is thrust. So everything else is gone from my mind. What else can I think about now that things have ended up like this? The man's arm moves. The movement I couldn't even see before looks like it's in slow motion now. The running silver light. The spearhead moves straight for my heart. It will spill blood in the next second. I know this feeling. The feeling of metal running into me. The taste of blood coming up my throat. The sense of the world around me disappearing. I felt all of it earlier. And I have to experience it again? Really? I don't understand. Why do I have to go through this? This is bullshit. I can't accept this. I can't just die here meaninglessly. I was saved. I was saved, so I can't die so easily. I have to live and fulfill my obligations. If I die, I can't do that. But the lance will pierce me. The spearhead will cut into my flesh and pierce my heart. It pisses me off. It's ridiculous to kill someone that easily. It's ridiculous for me to die so easily. Dying twice in one day is ridiculous as well. Damn, everything is so screwed up that I can't contain it all, and... won't be killed meaninglessly. by someone like you. Truly, it
何
appeared like magic. In a blinding light, it appears from behind me. My mind stops. All I know is the figure who appeared as a girl. The moment it appears, it repels the lance thrust at my heart and steps up to the enemy without hesitation.
本気か7人目のサーバントだと
The man readies his deflected lance and the girl swings something she's holding. Sparks fly twice. A strong swing. The man hesitates, receiving a heavy blow from the girl. He must have realized he's at a disadvantage as he jumps out of the shed with bestial speed. While keeping her guard up against the man, she quietly turns to me. The wind is strong today. The clouds drift and the moon appears for a brief moment. The silver light that shines into the shed lights up the girl in knightly form. I'm speechless, not because I'm confused by the sudden turn of events. I'm at a loss for words because of this girl's overwhelming beauty. The girl stares at me emotionlessly with her jewel-like eyes.
どうあなたが私のマスターか
She says in a valiant voice.
マスター
I only repeat back her words. I don't know who she is or what she's talking about. All I know is that this small girl is the same kind of being as the man outside. The girl says nothing and just stares at me silently. How can I put this? The figure in front of me is so special that I forget the situation, that the man outside could come and attack at any second. It feels like time has stopped just around me. The fear of death has disappeared and only the girl fills my vision.
サーバントセーバー召喚に従い参上したマスター指示を
She speaks again. The instant I hear the word master and servant, a pain shoots through my left hand. It's like a hot iron has been placed on my hand. I grab my left hand instinctively. That must have been the signal as the girl quietly nods her lovely face.
これより我が剣はあなたと共にありあなたの運命は私と共にあるここに契約は完了した
契約って何の
Even I have some knowledge of magic. I understand what that word means. But the girl doesn't answer me and looks away with the same grace she had when she nodded. She looks at the door of the shed. There stands the man, his lance ready in his hand. Alright, so that's gonna do it for part 1 of my Heaven's Feel Let's Play. I'm sorry for kind of skipping certain things while I replayed other parts that have already been seen. I don't know how long it's going to be like this until we get into like all new content. I'll probably continue to like pick and choose like what parts I think are worth showing and what are worth skipping over, but hopefully we'll be getting into like the more, or at least the newer things, like all new stuff that are relevant to this route, because it'd be such a bummer if I ended up skipping like halfway through the route and it's all just stuff from the previous one. But we'll have to see next time. I imagine like this first part and maybe the second part is going to be just a lot of the same from the Unlimited Blade Works, and then we're going to get into more of the Heaven's Feel stuff. But that will do it for me for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned next week for part 2 of the Heaven's Feel route. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Salieri, Revealing Storm, Amlife, Icognito, Saturn Sins, Doubless91, Harry Gazette, and Kenju Storm.